Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Tuesday, November 4, 2025. And in the news this afternoon, opposition calls for evacuation plan for homeless residents in Western Jamaica. Opposition leader Mark Golding is suggesting that the government implement an evacuation plan for residents of Western Jamaica who are now homeless after the storm ravaged their homes. Speaking at a press briefing on Monday afternoon, Mr. Golding said he has submitted a list of recommendations to Prime Minister Andrew Holness to aid in the relief and recovery efforts.
I also think we need an evacuation plan urgently for persons who are without shelter. That needs to be well thought through so that persons can be moved to places of safety where whatever form of accommodation can be erected to support them, whether it be tents or something else that can be put in place, and they can have access to the basic means of survival in an organized way. And that is necessary because right now we have people, many Jamaicans who are exposed to the elements, including babies, including children, including the elderly, including persons with disabilities, and they need to be moved to accommodation which protects them from the ravages of the elements going forward. I have proposed to the Prime Minister from last week, Wednesday, that he should establish a broad-based task force to be given the responsibility of governance oversight over the relief effort, the relief coming in, how it is dealt with, how it is distributed. Not to manage that process on a day-to-day basis, but to provide oversight to those who are managing it. So there's some accountability for how it's done, and that accountability is being held by a broad-based group that can enjoy the support and confidence of the whole society, especially those who are suffering terribly now. I also think there needs to be a clear command structure for the actual day-to-day management of the response to the relief. And that should be led, in my opinion, by professionals in disaster management, not by politicians who do not know the ins and outs of responding to a disaster of this magnitude. The opposition must not at this time be seeking to score political points as a political competitor of the government. This is not the time for the opposition to adopt that posture. And we are indeed trying our very best to operate in the spirit of that. On the other hand, we must point out where there are areas of need and what we see as the priorities in relation to those needs, where we see weaknesses in the response mechanisms that need strengthening or correcting, and we must provide, where we can, constructive, well-intentioned suggestions to help navigate the country through this disaster. We must also demand transparency and fairness in the distribution of all relief. The relief must get to those who need it.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Eastern, Dr. Dayton Campbell, has launched an Adopt a Family initiative which is aimed at assisting displaced residents. Dr. Campbell explained that there are various ways to adopt a family.
You can help them with housing, you can help them with food, with back-to-school supply, whatever the needs are of that particular family. We have identified some container houses that are on sale for about $3,500 US, and from what I have seen, with approximately 2,000 houses being totally destroyed, board houses that are flat, I think that is probably a workable solution to get these persons a home in the short term. If you can do that, that would be grateful.
UE reopens after Hurricane Melissa. U-Tech remains closed. Days after Hurricane Melissa disrupted lives and livelihoods, the nation's universities and colleges have remained closed except two. The decision has sparked a debate over access and academic priorities in the aftermath of the hurricane. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa's destruction, classrooms flooded, down the power lines, and the campuses covered in debris. Education has come to a standstill. The University of the West Indies Mona campus, Jamaica's premier tertiary institution, is one of two to resume classes today, while a larger section of the island is still without electricity or stable internet, prompting mixed reactions from students. The University College of the Caribbean has also resumed the classes. Northern Caribbean University will resume classes on Tuesday. The U.S. administration, however, insists its decision was made after careful assessment. Its Y campus registrar, Dr. Donovan Stanberry, says that the lights of learning will stay on.
We are very aware and we do understand that there are some of our students. We have just under 2,000 students with addresses in the Western Jamaica, so we know them, and we are aware that at this time they might be going through emotional trauma from, based on the hurricane losses and so on. We have mobilized tangible support. Yesterday, the entire management team of the university was at our Western Jamaica campus, not only to look at damages, but principally we took them a whole truck of foodstuff and so on to support our staff and students. Are prepared as a university to give a 50% discount on outstanding balance on fees for semester 1. And the other 50%, of course, they will have up to, we are generous up to next year, May, to pay that. We have a dedicated website that deals with all facets of our response to the hurricane that students can plug into, certainly by Wednesday. If students want, they can defer for a year, for a semester, they can defer their exams to next semester. All the classes that will now ensue as of today will be recorded and put on the OERVLE so that those students who are affected can go when they are able to consume that material.
Meanwhile, the University of Technology's doors will remain shuttered until further notice as the institution sustained extensive damage from Melissa. UTech President Dr. Kevin Brown said staff members have also been heavily impacted.
For now, the campus remains closed. Classes have been suspended, and there are a number of factors that we're taking into consideration before we contemplate reopening. Because one, we need to repair the campus where we've had damage. We need the return of electric power, water, and internet.
Kingston man faces murder charge after a deadly road trap. A 20-year-old man who allegedly set a trap to rob unsuspecting motorists is now facing several charges, including murder, after the plan led to the fiery death of a taximan in Kingston. Damone Byfield of Alexander Street in the parish has been charged with murder, conspiracy to murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, using a firearm to commit a felony, and malicious destruction of property. The charges stem from a deadly shooting incident on McWhinney Street on Saturday, January 25, which claimed the life of 24-year-old taxi operator Timoy Malcolm of Windward Road, Kingston 2. Reports from the Elletson Road Police are that about 12:15 a.m., Byfield and his accomplices staged a robbery by using plastic barrels and other debris to block the roadway. Malcolm was driving along when he stopped at the barricade. He was then ambushed by the group, who were armed with guns. In a desperate attempt to escape, Malcolm reversed his car but crashed into a utility pole. The vehicle burst into flames, trapping him inside. His charred remains were later recovered by authorities after the fire was extinguished. Investigators later arrested Byfield in connection with a firearm seizure. Forensic testing revealed that the gun taken from him was the same weapon used in Malcolm's murder. Byfield was charged on Thursday, October 30, after giving a caution statement to the police. A court date is now being finalized. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.